Hello guys, so welcome back to my channel. This is Dima Tutorials. In today's video we're going to be talking about the poem The Dining Table by Gbanabom Hallowell. And before we go into it, if this is your first time on this channel, this is Dima Tutorial. Dima Tutorial is an educational channel on YouTube. All we do here is to help students pass their exams in the use of English and in literature. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, you should go ahead and do that by clicking the subscribe button right below the video. Clicking the subscribe button is totally free. It will enable you to see more of our videos on English and literature as I upload new videos every week. You should also feel free to share the video to your friends so that we can get as many people as possible to watch this video. Now, let's get started. The Dining Table by Gbanabom Hallowell. Dinner tonight comes with gun wounds. Our desert tongues lick the vegetable blood, the pepper strong enough to push scorpion up our heads. Guests look into the ocean of bells as vegetables die on their tongues. The table that gathers us is an island where gorillas walk the land while crocodiles surf. Children from Alphabeta with empty palms down with us, switchblades in their eyes, silence in their voices. When the playground is emptied of children's toys, who needs roadblocks? When the hour to drink from the cup of life ticks, cholera breaks its spell on cracked lips. Under the spilt milk of the moon, I promised to be a revolutionary. But my Nile, even without tributaries, come lazy upon its own Nile. On this night reserved for lovers of fire, I'm full with the catch of gun wounds, and my boots have suddenly become too reluctant to walk me. Now, let's analyze the poem. The dining table is chiefly influenced by the poet's experience during the 11-year Sierra Leonean War, when guerrillas and irregular armed forces that fight stronger regular forces, such as the army or police, started a movement against the nation's corrupt government. Though the war was between the government and the guerrillas, it affected the civilians in no small way. The cause of the conflict is the control of Sierra Leonean diamonds. The opening of the poem sparks off the reader's senses with the powerful use of imagery. I believe you know what imagery is. Imagery means mental picture. The first 4 lines creates a mental picture of a gathering of people in serious pains as a result of fresh gun wounds. Dinner tonight comes with gun wounds. Our desert tongues lick the vegetable blood, the pepper. This verse describes the dinner as one that gives the diners gun wound. Dinner is used symbolically to represent the most important mineral resources of Sierra Leone, which is diamond. So the persona is saying that the mineral resources of Sierra Leone is what brings the war, which is characterized by shooting, maiming, and death. The persona also talks about the people outside Sierra Leone who came to see the event of the war and the effects of the bloodshed on the people. Let's look at lines 6 to 8. Guests look into the ocean of birds as vegetables die in their tongue. He is simply saying with those lines that the visitors, that is the guests, gaze on the effect of the war with so much pains too. Now let's look at the second stanza. The table that gathers us is an island where gorillas walk the land while crocodiles serve children from Alphabeta with empty palm. Down with us switchblades in their eyes, silence in their voices, when the playground is emptied of children's toys. Who needs roadblocks? When the hour to drink from the cup of life ticks, cholera breaks its spell on cracked lips. In this stanza, the persona reveals the fighting parties, that is the gorillas and the crocodiles. The gorillas are the group that fights the corrupt government, and the crocodiles is used to represent the government forces and their allies. He mentioned how the gorillas operated freely and brutally killed and terrorized people. He also recalls how the crocodiles, that is, the government officials and their allies, recruit innocent children to join the government forces. In line 4 of stanza 2, he says, "Why crocodiles solve children from alphabeta with empty palms to dine with us, switchblades in their eyes, silence in their voices." What he's saying in those lines is that the government, that is the crocodiles, recruit little innocent children who should be playing with their toys and expose them to the horrific and psychologically devastating events of war. In the last part of this stanza, he mentioned that the old and the aged people are not left out from the destruction of the war. These people, they die of cholera. Now let's look at the lines. When the hour to drink from the cup of life ticks, cholera breaks its spell on cracked lips. Now let's look at the last stanza, which is stanza 3. Under the spilt milk of the moon, I promise to be a revolutionary, but my Nile, even without tributaries, comes lazy upon its own Nile. On this night reserved for lovers of fire, I'm full with the catch of gun wounds, and my boots have suddenly become too reluctant to walk me. In this stanza, the persona affirms his stand on the war. He asserts to be an agent of change, a revolutionary, but he also affirms that this war is meant for those who love violence, that is, the lovers of fire. He says even though he has survived the war, he lacks the zeal to go on with the war. This is shown in line 3 to 5 of stanza 3. But my Nile, even without tributaries, comes lazy upon its own Nile. The persona never resents the war for its cause, which was to change the corrupt government. Rather, he resents the war for the destruction that it had brought upon Sierra Leoneans. The next thing we are going to consider in this poem is the themes. The first one is the brutality of war. Brutality of war. This theme is portrayed by words like gun wounds and blood. The first two lines of the poem, "Dinner tonight comes with gun wounds," shows the injuries inflicted by the war, the devastations caused by the war. The deployment of words and phrases like blood, die, switchblade, cholera, revolutionary, gun wounds, and boots portrays the fact that the poem is all about war and its brutality. The second thing that we are going to consider is destruction. Destruction. The poem depicts the destruction of lives caused by the war. The persona, which is the poet, points to the destruction of the psychology of children, which will be playing with toys by exposing them to the war front, where they experience switches of blades. The young adults had their lives destroyed in the war. Some lost their lives in gunshots, and some retained serious gun injuries. And the aged, on the other hand, had their lives destroyed by cholera that rampaged the country during that time. The next thing we are going to consider is child soldiering. Child soldiering. The persona points out the extent the war got to in line 12 to 16, which shows the use of children as soldiers and the sadness that creates silence in them, as they could no longer play with their toys, and their playground have been used for battlefields. The next topic we are going to consider in this poem is the poetic devices, that is, the figures of speech that are found in the poem. As a literature student, it is important for you to know the different figures of speech in the English literature. And I also have a video that covers the different figures of speech in the English literature. I'll be leaving the link in the description box. I advise you go and watch it. The first figure of speech or poetic device that we're going to look at in this poem is hyperbole. Hyperbole means exaggeration, and it runs throughout the poem. In line 2 to 4, the pepper, strong enough, push scorpion up our heads. This is used to exaggerate the very terrible pains caused by the gun wounds. The word soften is used to heighten the action of taking children from alphabeta. The persona used soft because that is the word used to describe the way crocodiles move in water. Another figure of speech that you find in the poem is metaphor. Metaphor is the comparison of two different things without the use of like or as. The entire poem is metaphoric. For example, desert tongue. Desert is compared to tongue because the desert is a dry place and their tongues at that time was also dry. Spilt milk of the moon is another example of metaphor. Here, the moon is compared to spilt milk due to the color of the rays of the moon. In line 3 and 4, pepper, which is a vegetable, is being compared to blood due to their similar red color and the pain they cause on the skin. The next figure of speech we look at, as found in the poem, is imagery. Imagery means mental picture. The pictures that you see in your mind when you're reading a poem or any literature at all. The poem is full of imageries. The poet uses words like gun wounds, lizard tongues, vegetable blood, pepper, scorpion, and so many others to give mental picture of war and pain and the destruction it brought upon Sierra Leoneans. Personification is another figure of speech found in the poem. Personification entails giving human characteristics to objects, animals, or ideas. For example, the pepper is strong enough to push scorpion up our heads. Here, pepper, which is a vegetable, is being given the human quality of pushing. Another example is cholera. Cholera breaks its spell on cracked lips. Here, cholera is given the animate quality of being able to break. Another figure of speech that is found in the poem is rhetorical question. Rhetorical question is a figure of speech in which the form of a question that is asked is to make a point rather than to elicit an answer. An example is found in Stanza 2. When the playground is emptied of children's toys, who needs roadblocks? Here, the poet is not expecting an answer to that question. He just portraying a point with that question. That brings us to the end of this lesson. I encourage you to find out the other figures of speech that we have in that poem. And if you have confusion about the different figures of speech we have in the English literature, as I said earlier, I'll be leaving the link at the description box. I encourage you to watch the video. It will really help you. So in that poem, you can still find more figures of speech like metonymy. You can find symbolism. Symbolism is largely used in that poem. You can find antithesis and so many others. So I encourage you to go ahead and exercise your brain. Thanks for watching. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and do that. Click on the subscribe button. And please don't forget to share to your friends so you can get as many people as possible to watch this video. Bye. See you next week in another video.